In 1930 Chicago, power didn't just come from votes, it came from money. And money flowed through three pipes: Washington's New Deal funds, precinct patronage, and the outfits cut. Edward Kelly and Patrick Nash weren't gangsters, but they worked alongside them every step of the way. Because in Chicago, the machine didn't run despite the mob, it ran with the mob. Welcome back to James on the Mob. I'm James Jenkins, host and narrator. Today, we're going back to City Hall. We're taking a hard look at the two men and a machine. Neither men were mobsters, but made the mob part of city government. This is the story of Edward J. Kelly and Patrick A. Nash, the front man and the fixer who rebuilt the Irish Democratic machine when Mayor Anton Cermak was taken out by a bullet in 1933. They were masters of patronage, experts in the backroom deals, and willing partners with the outfit. You see, Chicago's political empire wasn't built on ideology. It was built on alliances between the city, the feds, and the mob. On one side, New Deal money flowed in from Washington. On another, city jobs and contracts greased the precincts. And through the back door, outfit money, quietly allowing crime and vice to run unimpeded. And Kelly and Nash, well, they were at the center of it all. In the popular imagination, Chicago is often celebrated as the city that works. It is an urban maxim defined by its architectural grandeur, its vibrant culture, and enduring civic identity. However, this public-facing image belies the complex and often transactional political reality that has shaped the metropolis for over a century. The city's history, particularly during its most challenging periods, is inextricably linked to the rise of a political system, a machine, forged in the crucible of ethnic politics, patronage, and a sophisticated symbiotic relationship with organized crime. The foundation of this system is the Kelly-Nash Machine, an unparalleled political partnership that defined Chicago for over a decade. This story will trace the distinct and converging paths of the two men who built this dynasty, Patrick "Patty" Nash and Edward "Ed" Kelly, from their humble beginnings to the single dramatic event that allowed them to seize absolute control of the city's political landscape. The political power of Patrick Austin Nash was not born from a background in law or traditional public service, but rather from the foundational dirt and clay of Chicago's infrastructure. Born in 1863 to an Irish immigrant contractor, Nash's early life was intertwined with the gritty reality of municipal construction. He co-founded the sewer building company Nash Brothers with his brother Richard, a venture that would operate for over 40 years. The company's specialization in city sanitation contracts was remarkably lucrative, earning over $14 million from its work with the Chicago Sanitary District. By 1925, these public work contracts had elevated Nash to one of the 10 highest income earners in Chicago, establishing a financial foundation for his political aspirations. Nash's evolution from contractor to political boss was a masterclass in strategic maneuvering. He began his political apprenticeship as a ward committeeman under an early Chicago boss, Roger Sullivan. His early political career included appointed and elected roles on the Cook County Board of Assessors in 1915 and the Board of Review in 1918. A crucial turning point occurred in 1924 when he lost a bid for re-election, a setback that led him to never again seek public office. This decision was not a retreat, but a redirection, cementing his identity as the behind-the-scenes strategist rather than the public-facing politician. He came to be seen as the mastermind and the sole brain of the machine, a figure who remained in the background, praising and punishing machine members while tightening party control over the city. Edward Joseph Kelly was a product of the city's Bridgeport neighborhood. Born in 1876 to an Irish and German family, he holds the distinction of being the first of 5 mayors to hail from that legendary Southside neighborhood. Kelly's professional journey was as unconventional as Nash's. He didn't complete grammar school, instead entering the labor force at the age of 10. His career path eventually led him to the engineering field, in which he would rise to a position of significant authority. During the 1920s, he served as the chief engineer of the Chicago Sanitary District, a role he obtained through the patronage of Patrick Nash. In this capacity, he oversaw massive public works projects, which served as a proving ground for his administrative skills and as a point of contact with Nash's business operations. Beyond this role, he was also the head of the South Park Commission, where he oversaw the development of key Southside parks, including the opening of Soldiers Field. While Nash was the strategic architect, Kelly was the charismatic public-facing component of their partnership. Sources describe him as a gregarious mingler, backslapper, and palm presser who possessed a remarkable ability to persuade people. His affability and political skills were vital for garnering public support and for cultivating key relationships beyond Chicago. Most notably, he developed a strong personal and professional relationship with President Franklin D. Roosevelt, a loyalty that would later enable the machine to secure crucial New Deal funds for the city. This complementary dynamic, Nash behind the scenes strategist and Kelly the public-facing leader, was the core of their political association. The powerful democratic machine that Kelly and Nash would later command was not their original creation. Its true architect was Anton Joseph Cermak, a Bohemian immigrant who served as mayor from 1931 until his assassination in 1933. Cermak's genius lay in his ability to transcend the personality-based, Irish-dominated politics of the era by forging a broad, multi-ethnic coalition. He successfully brought together representatives from German, Polish, Czech, and Jewish communities, unifying them under the banner of the Democratic Party. This new unified organization became the nucleus of the modern Chicago Democratic Party. A close political ally of Cermak, Patrick Nash was appointed by the new mayor to be the Cook County Democratic Party chairman in 1931. This appointment was a pivotal moment as it institutionalized Nash's power and positioned him at the helm of the powerful political machine that Cermak had built. This structure, with Cermak as the public leader and Nash as the powerful party chairman, set the stage for the power transition that would follow. On February 15, 1933, the course of Chicago's political history was altered by a single catastrophic event in Miami, Florida. Mayor Anton Cermak was in Bayfront Park, shaking hands with the president-elect Franklin D. Roosevelt, when a bricklayer named Giuseppe Zangara opened fire. Zangara's bullets were likely intended for Roosevelt, but Cermak was struck in the lung and he died from his wounds on March 6, 1933. While a rumor circulated that Cermak was the true target, a result of his promise to crack down on the Chicago outfit and better control the city's criminal underworld, a subject I will cover in another episode, the primary evidence points to Zangara's animus towards all kings, presidents, and all capitalists. Regardless of the true target, the outcome was the same. The head of Chicago's fledgling political machine was suddenly gone. The death of Anton Cermak created a profound political vacuum and an extraordinary opportunity. The city charter at the time stipulated that a special election was required to fill a mayoral vacancy. In the throes of the Great Depression, a citywide election would have been not only expensive but also politically perilous, risking a potential loss of power to the opposition. Patrick Nash and the other party leaders were determined to bypass this democratic process. Their immediate objective was to orchestrate a solution that would consolidate, not risk, the party's power. This moment highlights the core operational principle of the machine, that the party's stability and control took precedence over traditional democratic procedure. The assassination, a sudden and unpredictable moment of chaos, provided the perfect catalyst for this maneuver. With the mayoral office vacant, Nash initiated his plan to secure the machine's control. His first step was to install a temporary placeholder, Alderman Frank J. Core. Core, a likable but pliable politician, was a strategic choice as he had no interest in holding the position permanently. This allowed Nash precious time to work behind the scenes. The most critical challenge was to circumvent the city charter's requirement for a special election. Nash and the Democratic Party leaders began a sophisticated campaign to lobby the Republican-led state legislature in Springfield. They successfully introduced an amendment to a bill that granted the Chicago City Council the authority to appoint a permanent mayor to complete the deceased mayor's term. This was a remarkable coup, as the Democrats held a 37-13 majority in the council, ensuring that they could handpick their next leader. The plan reached its climax at a caucus in the Morrison Hotel. Though widely considered a candidate for the mayor's office himself, Nash publicly declared that he was too old for the pressures of the job. Instead, in a meticulously orchestrated move, he announced his selection: Edward J. Kelly, his longtime ally and protege. The city council's subsequent vote was unanimous, and Kelly was sworn in as the 46th mayor of Chicago. This transfer of power was a display of political mastery, showcasing how the machine's internal logic and loyalty could override both precedent and the law. With Nash as the chairman of the party organization and Kelly as the public face of the city, the Kelly-Nash Machine was officially born. Mayor Edward J. Kelly was the public face of this new political order, and his gregarious nature and personal relationship with President Franklin D. Roosevelt were instrumental to the machine's success. Kelly's unwavering loyalty to the New Deal paid massive dividends for a city that was on the brink of bankruptcy. He became an influential player in national politics and, in turn, produced huge majorities for Roosevelt's presidential campaigns, which ensured a constant flow of federal funds to Chicago. These funds were used to meet municipal payrolls, keep schools open, and establish crucial public works projects. This lifeline of federal money not only saved the city, but also allowed the machine to expand its influence and patronage network, cementing its control over the city's populace. Beyond his command of the federal resources, Kelly was also credited with stabilizing a city in crisis. He established the Chicago Transit Authority, a vital project aimed at improving a beleaguered public transportation system. He also created the Chicago Commission on National Defense, which played a crucial role in mobilizing the city's resources during World War II. During this period, spanning the Great Depression and World War II, was a time of immense challenge. But the machine's ability to deliver services, jobs, and a sense of order earned it a reputation as an innovation in urban governance. While federal funding provided the public sustenance for the machine, its operational grief came from a more illicit source: organized crime. With the repeal of Prohibition in 1933, the Chicago outfit, now led by figures like Frank Nitti, Paul Ricca, and Tony Accardo after Al Capone's imprisonment in 1931, needed to pivot to new revenue streams. The outfit found its answer in a pragmatic partnership with the political machine, which tolerated the rampant illegal gambling, prostitution, policy rackets, and labor racketeering in exchange for financial resources and political support. A key figure in this illicit fiscal system was William R. Billy Skidmore, a bail bondsman and scrap iron dealer who acted as a political fixer for the machine and the mob. An investigation by Taxpayers Association in the 1930s revealed that every Friday, cash payments of $9,500 from gamblers and the Policy Wheel Syndicate were delivered to Skidmore at his junkyard, the Lawndale Scrap Iron and Metal Company. This money, representing a massive stream of illicit revenue, was the lifeblood of the machine's patronage system, which was essential for keeping the city afloat during the Great Depression. The policy racket, an illegal lottery that flourished in Chicago's black communities, became a multi-million-dollar operation by the late 1930s, controlled by powerful figures like the Jones brothers. While the Kelly-Nash Machine initially tolerated these independent operations, the Chicago outfit, led by figures such as Sam Giancana and Tony Accardo, began an aggressive and violent takeover of the policy game in the late 1940s, leading to a bloody power struggle. This close relationship with organized crime figures was also evident on a personal level. Mayor Kelly was known to be close friends with Mont Tennis, the king of the gamblers. Their properties in Wisconsin were famously connected by a private bridge, a clear symbol of the close ties between the city's political leadership and its criminal underworld. A local joke captured the essence of their close relationship. Kelly's boathouse had a small casino on the second floor, while Tennis had a chapel. and if the men got too rowdy, their wives would send them over to the chapel. The construction of Kelly's home between 1928 and 1932 was reportedly aided by Chicago sanitation trucks that were seen delivering building materials to the site, suggesting the use of city resources for personal gain. The power of the Kelly-Nash machine, which had been so effectively consolidated, began to show cracks in the 1940s. Patrick Nash died on October 6, 1943, aged 80 years old, and Kelly inherited his role as Cook County Democratic Party chairman, becoming the sole head of the organization. As mayor, Kelly had successfully won re-election in 1935, 1939, and 1943, but his final term was marked by growing political liabilities. While he was a strong advocate for a multi-ethnic coalition and even appointed African Americans to municipal positions, his progressive stance on race ultimately became his undoing. Kelly's outspoken support for racially integrated housing and desegregated public schools incensed many party leaders and voters. This progressive view on race, combined with the lingering stench of corruption and organized crime, led party insiders to view him as a liability who could no longer win a general election. The very machine that he and Nash had nurtured together ultimately forced him out of politics. In 1947, Kelly acquiesced to the Cook County Democratic Party's decision to slate a candidate with reform credentials for mayor of Chicago, and he was succeeded by Martin H. Cannelly. Kelly was serving as Democratic National Committeeman from Illinois at the time of his death, on October 20th, 1950. He was 74 and was buried in Calvary Cemetery in Evanston, Illinois. So goes the story of Kelly, Nash, and the Machine. The Kelly-Nash Machine emerged in Chicago during one of its most turbulent political eras. Edward J. Kelly, thrust into the mayor's office after Anton Cermak's assassination in 1933, and Patrick Nash, the powerful Democratic boss of Cook County, forged a partnership that blended organizational muscle with pragmatic governance. Their alliance stabilized city politics after years of gang violence, prohibition, turmoil, and shifting ethnic loyalties. Under their leadership, Chicago benefited from New Deal projects at an unprecedented scale. Kelly's close ties with Franklin Delano Roosevelt ensured that federal relief flowed into the city. Public works, WPA projects, and transit expansions helped modernize infrastructure, put thousands back to work, and created a sense of progress amid the Depression. For working-class voters, especially Irish, Polish, Italian, and African American communities, the machine provided jobs, stability, and a sense of belonging in city government. But progress came with a price. To maintain control, the Kelly-Nash machine leaned heavily on patronage and political favors. City jobs, contracts, and influence were often tied to loyalty to the machine. Votes were delivered, not just through speeches and rallies, but through ward bosses, precinct captains, and at times through the tacit cooperation of underworld figures. So in the comments below, if you're from Chicago or not, let me know your thoughts on the Kelly-Nash machine. I'm James Jenkins, and if you've enjoyed this episode, you know the deal. Hit that button, subscribe, and share. Stay tuned for another episode of James on the Mop. Next episode, we do a little bit of travel. And remember, life is short, so don't whack it off. See yous.